Hello friends, my name is Jaspreet. I'm MTech in Computer Science and having a teaching experience of more than 2 years. Today, I'm here to discuss the basic introduction of C language. So let's have an overview of the session. In this session, we are going to discuss the introduction of C language and basic structure to write a C program and a practice question. So let's begin with the basic introduction. The C programming language is a standardized programming language which was developed by Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson in 1970 at Bell's Labs. It is one of the widely used programming language. It was designed to provide the access to low-level memory and to require less runtime support. So what are the basic steps involved in C language? The basic steps involved in C languages are alphabet, digits and special symbols, which are called a character set, and these character set combines to form constant variables and keywords. Further, the combination of these makes instructions, and a set of instructions form a final program. So the table contains the character set, these alphabets and the digits and the special symbols. So discussion on constant, variable and keywords. The constant is an entity that doesn't change and is also called the literals, and variable is an entity that may change in the program and also called identifiers. A keyword is a word that carries a special meaning. Let's have a discussion on it. So what are the various types of C constant? C constant can be divided into two parts, primary constants and a secondary constant. A flowchart shows the different type of constant that are primary and secondary. In the primary constant, it contains integer constant, real constant and character constant, whereas secondary constant contains array, pointer, structure, union. So these secondary constants are discussed in the further sessions, whereas primary constants are discussed when it is required in the program. So basically, what is the difference between variable and a constant? Suppose x contain a value 5. It is stored here in the memory location, and further the value of x changes to 7. Now it overwrites the 5 with 7. So we can see that the value of x keeps on changing, so it is called variable, whereas 5 and 7 remain same, so it is called constants. Further, C keywords. There are only 32 keywords available in the C, and keywords cannot be used as variable names. This table shows a set of 32 keywords which are already available in the C. So let's begin with the first C program. Now we can see that there are 6 lines of code which is used to print Hitbullseye in the output screen. So in the first line, it is divided into two parts, hash include and stdio.h. Hash include is called preprocessors, whereas this is called header files. .h extension shows that it is a header files. In the second line, it contains int main void, where main is a function which is used in every program in the beginning. So we can say that in the beginning of the program we use main functions. So the curly braces defines the scope of the main function, and printf is used to give the output to the screen, and return 0 used for successful termination for the program. So now we have a detailed explanation of these codes. For example, in the line 1, divided into two parts, preprocessor and header files. So preprocessor is a macro preprocessor that transforms the program before it is compiled, and some of the common uses of C preprocessors are include header files, macros, conditional compilation. So include header files contains hash include your header file, or we can say other files are hash include maths.h. .h is the extension of the header files. Hash is always used before the preprocessor directives. We can create our own header file by defining hash include my header file.h. Macros. Macros is a fragment of code that is given a name. For example, we define hash define pi 3.14, suppose, and this pi is used further in the program. Here the code statements. For example, we are using area is equal to pi into radius. So the value of pi is automatically used as 3.14 by the compiler as it is defined earlier before the program. So the value of r, supposedly it is 5, we can say the value becomes 1.34 into 5 into 5. Conditional compilation. You can instruct preprocessor whether to use that chunk of code or not. So for example, we can say we have hash if define hash if else code. So what is the basic difference between if and else statement and these conditionals? If and else statement is used for testing after the execution of the program that whether to use this code statement of codes or not, whereas these conditionals are used before the execution of the program whether to use these chunk of codes or not. Moving further, the second part contains the header file. The header file is a file which contains C functions declarations and macro definitions, which is to be used by share between various source files. For example, so it has two types: the file which programmer writes and the file which comes with the compiler. This table contains the list of header files which comes with the compiler. So in the line 2, it contains int main void. Main is a function. Function is a set of statements. So it is a starting point from where the execution of C program begins. The execution begins with the main function. So main always return an integer value. So we begin with int main, or we can say that before main we use int. And void means that this function doesn't contain any parameters, which means no parameters. Sometimes some compiler doesn't return any value, so in that case we can write void main, which means that main function doesn't return any value. In the line 3 and 6, it contains the curly braces, which is used to define a scope, and all functions and conditions are start and ends with curly braces. Line 4 contains printf. Printf is a predefined standard library function which is used to print the given string, that is Hitbullseye. So predefined standard library function, this thing is called by the header file we are using in the beginning of the program. So stdio.h is used to call the two predefined function. One is printf function and second is scanf function. So printf is used to print any given value. We can say that printf is used for the output, whereas scanf is used for the input. Return 0. The return statement returns the value from main function, and 0 indicates that it has a successful termination. Here it is noted that this semicolon is used in line 4 and in line 5. What is the use of this semicolon? Semicolon is used to terminate the statement and to terminate the program. For example, in line 4, this semicolon is used to terminate this statement, whereas in this line 5, the semicolon is used to terminate the program. So what are the data types? In the C programming language, data types are declaration for memory location or variables. The C language provides 4 basic types of specifiers, and these are char, integer, float, and double. And the modifiers are signed, unsigned, short, and long. Let's have a look on it. So the type and the format specifiers. Character, signed characters. So the same size of character, signed character has the same size of character. It has minus 127 to plus 127. Range, unsigned characters. Integer, it also contains signed and unsigned, and it has a specifier that is %i or %d. Short integers, long integers, float, and double. So float is a real floating point and refer to a single precision floating point type, whereas double is also a floating type, but it has referred to a double precision floating point type. Now let's have a practice question. To find a square root using a library function. The main thing is, using a library function, we have to find a square root. So let's begin with the header files. First, structure of the program, hash include stdio.h header file, which is used for printf and scanf functions. Further, we are using math.h header file for the mathematical calculations, because we don't have to use the formula to how to find a square root. It is already inbuilt in this header file. Further, the main function and the curly braces. So let's have a look on the answer. These header files, the main function, curly braces, float is the data type, and these are the variables. Further, printf function is used to print the line in the output screen, that is enter the number, right? And the semicolon is used for the termination of the statement. Now scanf is used to taking the input from the user. So scanf basically stores the value of the number or the variable which was provided by the user from keyboard. So says the number is 12. The value of number is 12, right? So number is 12. Further function says root is equal to square root number, and the number is 12, right? And square root is a function, predefined function. We can say that square root function is already defined by the math.h header files. Further, printf square root of the number and that root, then the return 0. Here the output screen shows enter the number. Suppose the user says number is 12, or the user entered the number 12. So the output screen says the square root of 12 is equal to 3.46. So what is the use of this? It says the square root of 12 is 3.4641, but by using dot 2, it means that after dot only 2 digits should be shown. So the output screen shows square root of 12 is 3.46. Basically, basic structure of printf is printf, format specifiers, and list of variables. Here in this, the number contains 12 and the root contains square root of 12, that is 3.46. I hope the basic concepts are clear to you now. For more such videos, you can log on to hitbullseye.com.